Hey, I'm Peter Reinhardt, and here with Justin DeLeon. You're in LA, right? You're coming from LA. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're on Pizza Talk, and Justin, I don't know. We were about to record with you a couple weeks ago, and then all hell broke loose in LA. Right after the tragedy in Minneapolis, and I think your place was like right in the line of fire somewhere, wasn't it? In some of the protesting.
Actually, we're pretty grateful. A lot of the damage literally stopped right next door to us. So we're really grateful. We were untouched. We've been onboarded. We have faith in our community. We're here. We're proud Angelinos, and we got nothing but love for everyone. So we're here with open arms for our community, and we see the future as being strong. So we're going to move forward with open arms and keep our windows open, onboarded.
Well, I'm so glad that everything went okay and that you're back up and running. You're back in business, and I was asking you before we went on the air. What is the pronunciation? Apollonia's, Apollonia, or what? And the reason I had to ask that was because when we first heard about you, or when I first heard about you, I'd heard of Apollonia's years ago, or maybe about a year ago. But then Nancy Silverton, when we were interviewing her, she referenced you, and she said, "Yeah, there's this guy doing this great Detroit-style pizzas, and it's called Apollinaire." And I said, "I hadn't heard of Apollinaire. Is this another yet different place?" So we tracked you down, and she mentioned you. Can you tell us the story about how you met Nancy, and also just clarify for everybody what the actual real pronunciation is, and then maybe some of the other ways that it's been called over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's Apollonia's Pizzeria. We've heard Apolloniers, Apollinas, Apollonias. There's a whole array of different names, and it's a tongue twister. So, we're used to it, and we welcome it. People know.
You'll answer to anything. But how did you come up with that name? What does it refer to?
That's my daughter's middle name, and I kind of wanted to establish something so I could pass on to her for her security.
Yeah.
And maybe she can pass something down to her family. We're fairly new, 8 years in the game here, and it's been a short, somewhat long ride, but we're in it for the long haul. So we're thinking about the future, not just tomorrow.
Did you say you've been in business for 8 years?
We've been here, yeah, in business here for 8 years.
Wow. Now, has it always been the style of pizza that you're currently doing, or was there an evolution in the process?
Well, I mean, I'm sure like everything we all know, there's definitely a great evolution. The dough process started from mix, cut, fridge. Now it's almost, autolyse, mix, let rest, cut. It's turned into a whole day, and it's evolved, but it's for the better. And we're always in it. Like I said, we're in it for the long run, not for the short run. So we're always trying to make the best we can with what we have.
When I first heard about you, the reason you came on my radar is I was doing a book on square pizzas and pan pizzas, and you came up as one of LA's distinctive best ones. Is that your focus? Are you doing all pan pizzas there, or do you do different styles?
About 2 years ago, we introduced the square here at the shop, and I didn't realize what I was stepping into, because our full business runs on round thin pies. So once I introduced the square, it's almost introducing another business.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily someone was either going to pick the square or the round. Someone walking through the door already knew, like, I'm going for the round. A new customer was coming, saying, hey, I'm coming for the square. So the business began to multiply, and it's evolved. It's almost starting to take over the rounds. And it's somewhat nice because this far into the game and being as busy as we want to be, I've been able to make the decisions I want to do what I want to do here in the shop. I never really wanted to do like a half this pizza and a half that. I just wanted to do a whole pie. So now that things are becoming more under my control, I can make those decisions to make whole pies, eliminate salads, and just focus on my passion, not necessarily trying to upsell that 15-20% with like salads and drinks. I just want to focus more on my passion on what I want to do throughout the day.
All about the pizza for you.
Yeah.
But you didn't start out as a pizza maker. How did you get into the business? First of all, I don't want to forget the story. So tell us how you met Nancy Silverton and how she became aware of your pizza, and then we'll go back and find out how you got into the pizza world.
Sure. At the age of 13, it was actually my first job at the local pizzeria. Learned how to make, round, very thick, a lot of dough, a lot of sauce, a lot of cheese pizzas. Did that for a while. It was always in the neighborhood. They always needed help. So no matter where I was in my life, the pizzeria was always available for work.
This is where you grew up in LA?
Yes, in LA. And eventually I broke apart from pizza and started to pursue one of my other passions, which was photography. So I went to school, did some traveling, exhibited pretty widely, and eventually, as photo changed into a digital format, I came back to pizza.
So you love the film, not the digital as much?
Yeah, it's either pizza or the chemicals are going to kill me from photography. So I wasn't so much into the digital.
It's funny. A lot of people who I know a lot of folks who came up obviously in the film world where they had to develop their own work, and that's the smell of the chemicals is what drove me out of the dark room, because I couldn't take it. But some people just loved it, and they had a hard time, like you were saying, making the transition to digital, which is it's got its pluses and minuses. And one of the pluses for me is you don't have to smell those chemicals.
I mean, those chemicals will kill you, but it's like, when you're doing it, your hands are in it, you smell like it. And my father was also a photographer. So when I was a kid, you'd come home, you'd smell that rich chemical smell. And some people don't like it, but there's something about it that's, inspiring.
Like anything, if you get into that world, you kind of like, you're imbibed and imbued with it all at the same time. So you did photography. Okay, well, it sounds like that also was part of your heritage. You had a photographer father, so you knew the business, and you knew maybe by osmosis were learning the craft. Did you also study it formally?
Yeah, I studied at Pasadena Art Center at the time. It was one of the most challenging schools around for the fine arts. So I mean, that alone gave me a good foundation on how to complete something A through Z. I worked at other places where, they only opened the door and there wasn't a plan. And I was able to come in and help a friend and say like, hey, let's go A to Z, but right now let's go to A to B and see what it looks like next week. And then the following week, let's try to increase sales 10%. So it was always baby steps, but trying to get to a goal and not just necessarily, let's just see what happens, because I think nowadays with what's going on, it's like you got to have a long-term plan and know you're not going to get there overnight. So, and at the same time, you got to be flexible and trying to adapt and figure out whatever obstacles shoot your way.
Well, I know that anyone who's on Instagram has probably seen some of your photography, which is pretty stunning.
Thank you.
And in fact, there's that one shot which has become almost iconic for me of the crown pizza. It's like, is that what you call it, a crown pizza? That's pizza that's got these little cheese spikes popping up all around the perimeter. It just grabs your eye and you just can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I did a square pie, I was pretty surprised. I'm like, wow, I always call myself a lucky guy, because my first pizza, I was like, well, I got lucky on this one. I don't know how it happened. It happened. And the next day, I'm like, let me try to achieve, a little bit more. And every week or every month, it was like, let me problem solve what's going wrong with this and try to make it a better pie. And there was a point where I was like, let me see if I can get the cheese to come up and then over the pan. So I've done that. I mean, it doesn't make a pizza taste any more better, but when you look at it graphically, they almost look like little scorpion tails.
Yeah,
and
it's very.
I don't think.
visual.
Yeah.
Well,
to me, that's an accomplishment, because I haven't seen anything done like that, especially on a pizza. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, it's a graphic experience. Yeah.
And it utilizes that, what you were just saying about sort of your intuition of taking things one step at a time and being systematic, I guess is what the word that's coming to my mind now, is that you've been very systematic about, planning and even in building this pizza and getting it to where you wanted it. It was like, I don't have to get there from here to there in one step. I can take it in baby steps and until I achieve what I want.
Of course. And as of recently, every time a pie came out, and I knew everything went through my hands. And as I started to get busier and busier, I couldn't make the pizza, bake the pizza, cut and finish. So I've brought in friends that want to help me succeed that have no zero pizza experience.
Yeah.
And to them, they've kind of taken over like the finished portion of it. And I'll hear them saying, "Wow, look at this crown I made." And to me, I'm like, the crown you made, like, how do you start? What's your first step in getting that crown?
Yeah.
But they see him coming out and they're claiming it as theirs, which is cool. But it's like that little statement to me is like, that means a lot when you say that's your crown. You got to know what's
It's
the
kind of
first
cool
step.
that they feel that they participated in creating something that they find to be beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Now the next question for them would probably be, would you like to learn how to make that? Would you like to learn
yeah.
how to do it?
And that's the hard part. I mean, like I said, I started off with a round pie business, and it started to be overtaken with the squares. And before I would be able to roll up to the shop, an hour, half hour early. But now it's like, if I'm opening at 12, I got to be here 7 to 8 to start my par bakes. And, that's something that I created for myself. I don't want to say I created a problem, but it's something that I created for myself.
Yeah,
And to fulfill it, I got to be committed to making it happen. And it's
exactly.
longer days and harder work, but it's what I wanted. It's what I try to achieve.
Well, I know that in our next episode, we're going to continue with you in part 2, and you're going to actually show us how to build, one of your pizzas. Are we going to do the crown pizza? Is that the one you're going to show us?
Yes, we'll show you the
Cool.
crowns.
So that's become a signature item for you. But again, once again, I want to go back to how your daughter played a role in getting you connected to Nancy Silverton.
Yeah, so we're doing the a pizza festival for Los Angeles Times, and we're pretty excited. Chris Bianco was going to be there, Nancy Silverton was going to be there, and for us, we're just a mom and pop shop in Los Angeles. So to me, it's like I'm very proud of what we do, but I know on the large scale, LA pizza is always somewhat frowned upon. As a generalization, can't say it's true, but as a generalization. So to me, it's like, I wouldn't say I'm always out to try to prove something, but it's like I know my best is what I have, and it says a lot.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we were going to this festival hosted by the Times, and I knew Nancy was going to be there. And a lot of people said, "Oh, you should reach out to Nancy." I'm like, "Hey, I'm just a guy in LA making pizza. I don't think anywhere, I shouldn't be on her radar."
Yeah.
So I like I said, I'm very, very happy and very proud of what I've accomplished. So my goal that day was to get my pizza into Nancy's hands. So
You wanted to get it into her hands without seeming like you were uh, begging or kowtowing.
I mean, just to get it in her hands. I mean,
Yeah.
she could spit it out, say it's the worst pizza it is, and that's just the reality of it is. It's the worst pizza she ever had, So we had asked my daughter, "Hey, do you want to go take, can you ask Nancy if she wants to come over and have a slice?"
Now, is this the same daughter whose middle name is Apollonia?
Yes, real Apollonia.
So now she's at working for you. Now her name it has even more meaning.
Oh, definitely. So Nancy was very busy at the time, which was, understandable. She says, "I can't get over there, but if you bring me a slice over here, I'll try it." So she walked over, gave Nancy a slice, and surprisingly, someone photographed the whole event. Her giving her the pizza, Nancy eating it, Nancy coming down to her and thanking her for it. And we see Nancy walking to the pizzeria. I mean, to our booth. And we're like, "Oh, darn. She's going to say this is the worst thing ever." It's kind of like you feel like you've been, you're busted, you've been exposed. I'm coming to tell you.
Here comes my nightmare.
Yeah. So she comes over and she was just like, "I love everything about it. It's very light, the flavors." And to us, we were just in total awe. And the great part about it is we're only 2 miles from Nancy. I mean, she's always been an inspiration, and for us to get that gesture was just, it validified the passion, the hard work, and the payoff.
That's awesome. And you must have made an impression because in our conversation with Nancy, she cited that, and she even talked about how your daughter, came over and said, "My daddy wants you to try his pizza," and it was a
Yeah.
great story, and so it made an impression, and clearly it's a kind of I don't know how much it directly influenced it, but she's kind of moving over also into these other styles of pizza.
Yeah.
The pizzeria mozza style is sort of uh, her version of a Neapolitan, whereas now at Triple Bean with Matt Molina, she's doing something that's more Roman style.
Yeah.
Have you been over there to try that one?
I think I went when they first opened up. They were in I haven't been to the new one. I went to the one in Highland Park. I loved it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, loved the options. It was a beautiful spot. The pizzas were nice, light, airy, very, very
Well,
delicious.
well, I think that LA no longer has to, kind of like take second fiddle. It's got its own pizza culture, and quite a large, extensive one with a
Yeah.
lot of destination pizzerias. Yours being one of them now, uh, and uh, uh, and that from what I'm hearing, you say people are coming not just for the square pies, but also for your thin round pies as well. Well,
Yeah. I mean,
how much of your business is each style?
actually, I mean, I think on the weekends the squares have overtaken the rounds. During the week, I mean, we get our regular round business, but during the weekends the squares have definitely taken over the rounds.
Interesting, isn't
So
it? There's something going on across the country, I think, with pan-style pizzas are
yeah,
beginning to flourish
yeah,
everywhere, whether it's a Detroit style or a Roman style or grandma style. They're all variations of a theme. Focaccia, they're all coming back in a big way. What is it? Do you think? And we're going to learn in our next episode how you achieve it. But what do you think? Kind of the key, or what were some of the key breakthrough ideas in allowing you to take your pizza to that next level?
it was just trying to achieve something that I think when I first started I didn't know this is where I'd be, and every day I learned, you know, developed, kept pushing, and when I first started, these guys, one of my first process was I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning here at the shop, not even knowing what I was doing, but no matter what it took, I had to get to the end product. And now that I'm here three years later, like I've learned different shortcuts, how to proof, how to fill the pans, par bakes, and it's just a matter of like always trying to figure out, how to be more time efficient, how to be more cost effective, and overall not compensating or not compromising on the end product.
And we're going to learn again more about this in our next episode. But in order to get that look in your pizza, you have your own blend, your own cheese blend. That I'm not going to ask you what's in it because I know it's sort of like the proprietary secret of Apollonius. But was that one of the breakthroughs along the way, is finding the right cheeses to use, or did that just come to you, from the start?
I think part of it came from the start. I mean, one thing I've learned, here I am like 3 years later, like to me it's a different stage because at this point, we're buying more product, we're buying more pans, and people always ask me, oh, what kind of pans do you use? Like that's the secret. I've got 10 different pans, all of them work.
Yeah.
Some of them may cook slower, but I put them in a hotter part of the oven. But in the end, it's not necessarily the pan. But one thing I did learn recently, like I just bought some new pans, and the new pans don't burn anywhere nearly as beautiful as my older pans. And
Interesting.
people have told me that opposite, but it's like first pie that came out, I'm like, this isn't my pizza. Nowhere near my pizza.
You
And I
think
just thought, like, I was like, if I had to open up another shop and I needed 100 pans tomorrow, I'm not going to get that
Interesting.
product.
Do you think that it's the metal, or is it the thickness, or is it that it needs more, just it'll build a glaze after a while that will allow it to catch up to your older pans? Is there something noticeably different about them?
I think it's just the usage and the way it burns. I know you're supposed to like really wash your tray. I mean, from what I've read, you're supposed to wash your trays. I've never washed any of my trays since day one, and to me, I think that's part of
Yeah.
why they're getting better and better.
Interesting.
But then
Wow.
again, I use them every day, so
Yeah.
there's a difference.
Well, this is a lot, and what I'm going to do is carry this over into our next episode So we're gonna have you come back and make us a pizza at Apollonia's. Show us sort of the magic that happens there, and we're going to continue with you in the next episode of Pizza Talk with Justin DeLeon, Apollonia's Pizza in LA. What part of LA are you in for folks who are coming to town or who don't know the city?
We're borderline of Mid-City, Hancock Park, Miracle Mile, just off of the main intersection of Wilshire and La Brea.
Well, sure. Well, there you go. So there's some reference points. If you're going to LA, definitely want to check it out. If you're in LA, you already know where it is, most likely. And let's continue in the next episode tomorrow with you, Justin, on Pizza Talk. And thanks for being with us this time. Everybody else, come back and see how it happens. Welcome back to Pizza Talk. I'm Peter Reinhardt, and I'm here with Justin. We're back in our episode with Justin at Apollonia Pizzeria in LA. We heard the story of Apollonia and how it all came to be, and Justin's career as a transitioning into pizza and everything that's transpired since. And we talked a lot about your pies yesterday, but we didn't get to see any. And today you're actually going to show us one of your signature pizzas. Is this what we call the crown pizza? Is that what we're going to say?
Yeah, it's one of our square pies. Some days crowns are kind of small. Some days crowns are a little higher than others.
And by crown, what do you mean by crown? Is that the edge, the rim of the pizza, the cornicione?
The caramelized freckle crust on the side that shoots out and off of the pizza.
So it's going to have this beautiful crown effect. And anyone who's ever seen Justin's photos on Instagram, you've seen that shot. It's pretty iconic. So Justin, why don't you take us through your process and show us how this pizza is made? Sure.
What we generally do is we par bake our crust. One of the biggest challenges, at least for us early on, was the shrinkage. You know, a lot of people think, oh, just put it in a tray and I'm going to wrap it with cheese and I want to get a beautiful pizza. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And one of our earliest challenges was, the bread would shrink and you'd put it in your cheese and you'd have just a big flop, no crown whatsoever. So for us, we do a par bake. It works out really well for us.
Because it holds that crown up, huh?
Well, not only does it hold the crown, but I know it's not going to shrink anymore and not even give me a crown. It's more about knowing that I'm not going to get any shrinkage. If you're doing another kind of pan pizza, like something raw, the shrinkage really isn't a factor. But for what I'm doing here, shrinkage is very, very important.
Oh, if the pizza does have shrink, you can always call it the George Costanza pie for Seinfeld fans. Well, show us. Is the one that you have in front of you already par baked?
It's par baked, so we've already got where are we at? We've got our ingredients. We've got our house blend of cheese around the edge already. We're gonna do a white pie. We got some sea salt, fresh mozzarella, ricotta, some pecorino, arugula, organic grape tomatoes, and a little bit of shredded. Wow. So
now the color of the center of that pie is dark. Is that caramelization? Because it's no sauce, right?
That's just the crust.
So that's the color. The crust is already caramelized in the par bake.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're going to do a rebake.
We cook pretty much very much on the well side. Our round pies, I like a golden brown. To me, flavor's in the color.
Uh-huh.
So I like to get a little richer in color, whether it be the rounds or the squares. So when you see our par breaks, they're usually, on that golden brown, dark brown side.
So at this point, you've already par baked it. Somebody's ordered the pie. How do you finish it off for them?
Well, actually, one good thing about this is having par bakes, 500 par bakes, and never worry about, I don't have enough trays for the night.
Yeah.
So it gets me one step ahead of never, hopefully, selling out. I mean, it happens, but if you can have a lot more par bakes, you're in for a longer night than only having X amount of pans with,
You know where you stand, and you can turn them around a whole lot faster, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, cleaning takes 2 seconds. I don't have to wait for the next batch to rise. So It's worked out really well for us. You can just turn them out, as fast as they go in. You can put the next one in the next tray, after about 3 or 4 minutes, pulling down. So for us, this
So
works
how
out
do
really
you? So,
well.
so what? Once it's been ordered, then what? Then how do you go ahead and prepare it for the final for the customer?
So we'll line the edge with the cheese. We'll hit it with some fresh mozzarella in the center.
Okay. So fresh mutts goes in the center, and of course, every once in a while, since the camera is kind of blocked by the pans, can you just lift the pan up every now and then to show us what it looks
Sure.
like in stages?
So right now we got some fresh in the center,
Nice, nice.
and then we'll sprinkle it with a little bit of shredded.
Now that whole rim around it, the crown itself, is that just dough, or is there cheese on that dough?
That's just dough. Dough, and then I already have it lined with our house blend of cheese on the side.
Oh, that's already was under the dough before it rose.
No, after. So I drop the par bake and then I line it with our house blend.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so now we've got fresh cheese.
Yeah, so then we'll drop some grape tomatoes.
Sweet.
To me, the white pie, for my personal taste, is just a little bit on the dry side for me. That's personally. So I've always added the tomato just to give it a little bit of pop. It's not necessarily sauce, but it's just a little bit more moisture than your traditional white pie.
Right, and it's a flavor contrast as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
She used to do the gold tomatoes. This pizza in-house is called the Alcoa Gold. We used to use it with the gold, but the price of the gold can fluctuate, 100% in 1 week. So we went with the reds. They're a little more consistent. I can always get them, and there's not really that much of a difference in the end between the red and the gold with as much flavor we put into this pie.
Sure, and of course, as the season goes on, the various tomatoes will come in and out as they harvest.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, we're lucky to be in California, and we use all organic produce here. So sometimes it's going to be a lot harder to get something, especially with the seasons moving around. But for the most part, we're able to maintain our pizzas year round. So we're pretty grateful for that.
That's awesome.
And then we'll sprinkle it with a little bit of pecorino. We'll hit it with some garlic, oregano. We'll drop it in the oven.
Okay.
Usually about 15 minutes.
Even
my
with
slices.
Even with the par, 15 minutes to finish it off in the oven.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it all depends. I mean, we use Montagues. We have hot spots, cool spots. So just depending on, a cheese pie cooks a lot faster than a pepperoni or a white that's not being covered. So we'll get a lot of people saying, hey, can I do a half pepperoni, half cheese? And it's something that we don't do because if I cook that cheese side equal to the pepperoni, it's just going to be,
right.
all going to be burnt. So
they're not cooking at the same rate. Yeah.
Yeah. So we drop this in the oven.
Okay.
And we actually, we push for a lot of slices. It's easier for me to sell 6 slices than 1 pie. I know a lot of people don't do that, but being able to sell the slice introduced me to being able to sell more pizzas in the end. I had 6 people try it versus just
right. How much does a typical slice cost? Like a slice of that pie, what would it sell for?
This slice right here is $8.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, but actually, so I've got one that just came out of the oven. We can look at that one.
Yeah.
But the finished slice isn't exactly what you see right here. It's a little bit more complex. It's built up. The other day, some guys I just don't get why this pizza's so expensive, and I understand that. It's easy to understand, but when you start par baking 4 hours before you open,
yeah,
a round pie would have already been in and out. This, you got to build the cheese. It goes in. Not all toppings. We use Iso Supremo pepperoni. If I put that in at the beginning of my bake, all of those pepperonis are black.
Right.
So I got to come back out halfway through, put pepperonis on, bring them back in, come back out, put more sauce on top. So, I mean, it's a lot more work versus stretching out around and being in and out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like there's more craft involved, and there's more, you're paying partly for the skill and the time and the thought that went into it as much as for the cost of the ingredients themselves.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, once people get it, they understand it's not just something that you can go around the corner and pick one up from, you know, another pizzeria. So once they're done, you know, they're a beautiful thing.
Great. All right, so you've got one already out of the oven.
They got one right over here.
Can't wait to see it.
So this is one we got right now.
Oh, that's what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. It's all melted up and ready to go. And then do you have to pull it from the pan, or do you serve it from the pan?
No, we pull it from the pan. I'm very particular with my pans. I usually don't let any metal get inside. I don't like to scratch them up. So we do even. You can see the pan. See, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You can see how the.
You can see the crown, for sure. Yeah. And you can get that out of the pan without breaking that crown?
We'll see right now. Usually most of them come out. Usually one side wants to give.
Yeah.
But let's see. I'll be right back.
So basically what Justin has here is that he calls this crown pizza because of the way that the dough climbs the pan and creates a sort of a cheese frico crown, and using plastic to get it out so that you're not scratching the pan. I get that. I hate to scratch my pan. Look at that. It's popping right out. Look at that beautiful crown. Holy cow. There's your frico. Nice. That's the frico to die for. That's the one that everybody tries to make at home. So what are the cheeses that consist in that crown? What is it? Is it part of it? Is it the Romano? Is it the mozzarella, or what?
It's a mix. It's the house mix that we put together. We've experimented, and we're constantly experimenting to get a different pie. I think the past 3 months it's been because a lot of products weren't available, with certain restaurants being closed down.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out how to make the best of what was going on, and I'm always trying to make a better product. I have this cheese. Can I get something that maybe better locally, support my community? And sometimes those things don't work and you got to go back to square one. But we're always opened up to how can we make a better pizza? How can we be a restaurant and be more responsible to what we're doing?
Well, Justin, let me ask you a question. One, could you go ahead and put the camera on shoot it down, and so we can see that pizza again as we talk about that. But in order to get that crown, it's let's see, that's the edge of the pizza.
Yeah, I'll get that right now.
Oh, you're gonna get the camera. Okay, good. There we go. Yeah, look at that. It's gorgeous. In order to get that crown, when you put the dough in the pan, do you line the pan first with cheese, like the inside of the pan with cheese, in order to get that frico, or does the cheese just melt down the side of the pizza to create that frico?
We put it in with the par bake. Does that answer your question?
You put the cheese in the pan with the par bake?
So we do the par bake and then we drop the cheese.
You do the par bake, then you drop the cheese. When you say drop the cheese, you mean drop the cheese in the pan?
Yeah.
Okay, so the cheese the first bake doesn't include the cheese around the sides, but then on the second bake, you coat the inside of the pan with the cheese, drop the pre-baked dough back in the pan, and then finish off the pizza, and it browns up during the rebake. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
If we didn't do that, this cheese would be cooking for about 30 minutes, and
yeah,
even another 2 minutes, this thing would be on the well done side.
Yeah, you got it right to the edge of golden brown. You got caramel, not carbon, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is I can sell this as a slice, and the only thing that's going to happen is the crown is going to cook down because it's cheese, so it's just going to burn off, but it's not going to affect the color. For me personally, I'd rather sell a slice than a whole pie.
Yeah.
Like anything else, when you throw it in for that second bake, you're going to get a crisp that you can never really achieve on that first bake.
Would you?
So all of the insides of the slices will be nice and toasty versus, I mean, you'll get soft and crispy, but this you'll get more crisp around each bite
Well,
rather than just around your edges
you
and
can
bottom.
get 6 slices from this pie at $8. So that's like that pizza would sell for $48 if it was a whole if you bought the whole pie.
Well, the whole pie we sell for 40.
Because yeah, you get a little discount. But
Yeah.
that's a nice. Well, so it's a lot of work that goes into it. People are willing to pay the price, and it's a fair profit for each slice is profitable for you. So it kind of works out for everybody. Would you mind cutting a slice so we can see what it looks like
Sure.
from a cross section and see basically what a slice looks like? I can imagine 1/6 of that pie, but I'd love to see what it looks like. And you're going to have these pies already baked. When somebody comes in, if they're only buying a slice, they're going to buy a slice from one that's already been baked, right?
Yeah, so then I can drop this on my slices. And then when they walk in, I can, you see that?
Yeah. Oh my God, look at that structure. Wait, that's nice and airy. And you got the
bottom is nice and crispy.
Look at the caramel on that. Yeah, fantastic. So you get all the qualities that someone's looking for: a crunch factor, a creamy factor in the crumb, an airy quality, and then you got all that cheese. It's like, how can you lose?
And so, I mean, with these slices, I'll be honest, it's funny. There's good days, there's bad days, Some days I can't get to my, the dough, once it's proofing, I can't get to it as fast as I like. Something else comes up in the shop, I'm doing this by myself. But it never stops me from keep going. It's like, it doesn't affect the change. It may affect the experience, but it doesn't affect the flavor and, what you're expecting. But of course, when you have your, when you've got a great crown.
Yeah.
Please.
Look at that. Oh yeah.
You got a great crown.
Yeah.
And then you've got, an airy crust. It just makes the experience something that hopefully you've never had, anywhere.
It's pretty rare. You're not going to get that from your neighborhood everyday pizzeria. So now each of those 3 slices that you're showing us, you would then cut those in half to get your 6 slices. So, but if somebody said, "Give me the whole slice, give me the double," instead of cutting it in half, would you just charge them double for that? That would be $16 for that right there.
Yeah. So this slice, actually, what we would do is cut this in half as well. And the thing is, like, once you start the more you touch the pies, the frico starts to sometimes crumble.
Yeah.
So I mean, unfortunately, I don't have a box that's 3 inches thick. So once this goes into a box, the crown is pretty much gone. So
except
with this right here, we'd put some ricotta.
What are you putting on?
A little bit of ricotta.
Ricotta.
We dab it with a little bit of truffle oil.
Oh.
A little bit of sea salt. I mean, Molden. Sorry.
From a $7 slice to an $8 slice with just the truffle oil.
Yeah. And then we hit it with a little bit of arugula.
Ah, wow.
So that's
a lot of layers.
That's pretty much what you get when
the crown pizza. Yeah. Wow.
The funny thing is, we put it on a paper plate, which is kind of
a joke. It deserves to be on a mother of pearl platter. Yes.
Exactly. But then again, someone will say, "Hey, can I get a fork and knife?" And it's like, you can't really eat this thick slice on a paper plate with a fork and knife. So it's
right.
You've got to indulge, or struggle with a fork and knife on a paper plate.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, that sure does look good. And I mean, it looked good even before you put all the rest of the toppings. Before the ricotta, before the arugula and the truffle oil, it still looked gorgeous. And it was like, a beautiful slice of pie. So what do you call this? If people come in and they want to get what they just saw in the video, what would this be called?
This is just we call it the Acapulco Gold. It's most of our pies have stories, um, or childhood experiences. This is the Acapulco Gold. It's a white pie. You would just say, "Can I get a square Acapulco Gold?"
Uh-huh.
They're usually as soon as you walk in, they're right on the front table where we're stretching. Our stretch table and our square display is pretty much in the same spot.
Wow. Now, before we run out of time, the dough itself looked very what's the word? Almost a country style dough. Is there some whole grain flour in that dough?
It's just where we at? We're just at high gluten King Arthur flour.
It's all just straight high gluten flour. There's no whole wheat or any other
No
grain.
mix. Nothing. I mean, I've been wanting to play around with mixes. Um, doing everything myself. It's kind of hard to experiment when I've got to be committed to
Yeah.
a full day of work. But
it looks like a beautiful dough, though. I mean, it's got a creamy, what do you call it? The beta carotene, tones to it. The orangey tones that you associate with a really good flour. And then technique-wise, I don't know I can't remember if we talked about this in our last episode. Do you use any kind of pre-ferments, or is it yeast? Is it starter? Is it a combination?
It's a combination. We use a cold starter that we pull and feed. So I would say 90% of this is because of my starter.
Uh-huh. So it is a naturally leavened pizza dough with a little spike of commercial yeast as well.
Just a pinch, yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes down for us. It all comes down to what time was the dough made, and it being what time is the person available that's going to cut it.
Yeah.
So if I have all day, then I don't have to use the yeast. But if I only have 4 hours, 5 hours, then I know I'm going to have to use yeast to get it where I want it to be.
So do you feel like this pie and this style of pie is really is this where you feel like for Apollonius, as far as where the market is, what the customers are wanting, and are you still pretty much having sort of split between style, your original New York style?
It's definitely got a lot of the spotlight, but the rounds are pretty much foundation. I know when I open up this
the rounds are not going away. Then
if anything, I would minimize my my topping selection. To me, it's always been about minimizing and simplifying.
Yeah.
So even with squares, I don't want to do 20 different squares. Right now, we do a cheese and a pepperoni with the option of burrata and Mike's Hot Honey, those two are very popular. We do the white, which when you see it undone, undressed up, it's like the most it's one of the slices that you don't see coming to you when it's done. It just looks very plain and simple at first, but when you get it, it's like something else that you've never even expected. So that's usually when people get it, they're like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. Like, we know it looks simple, but in the end, it's very complicated, sophisticated slice.
So considering you're selling those by the slice, when you must have pizzas kind of continually coming out of the oven, so that as customers are lining up, they're not waiting 15 minutes for a slice. They're getting a slice fairly hot, but it's just coming out of the oven. It's not one that you have to put in the oven for them to bake, right?
We're a small operation. Today for lunch, it'll be me and one other fellow. So it can actually still, even though slices are ready, depending on what time you come in, it can still be a 15-minute wait for a slice, just depending on what's going on. Because this has to, it's got to go back in the oven. It's not, it needs ricotta, it needs the truffle oil, it needs the arugula. So there's a whole nother build afterwards. And
finishing, yeah.
The finishing takes some time.
I hear you. Well, man, it's I know it's always progress, and the pizza world is in such dynamic flux right now that everybody is kind of adding on and sort of using their own games and always pushing to get to the next level. Like learning process never ends, and so I just want to congratulate you on all the success that you've attained and achieved, and the national following that you now have. And Yeah, I look forward to getting back to LA so I can come in and actually have a slice.
Thank you. We look forward to having you, hopefully soon.
As soon as I can get there, for sure. Justin DeLeon, Apollonia's Pizzeria in well, it's not downtown LA. Where you said it was on the corner of Wilshire and
Wilshire La Brea,
Wilshire and Brea.
Miracle Mile, Hancock Park, Mid City.
So not being from LA, is that considered? That's called Mid City. That's not considered Hollywood or.
It's like right on the border of around Hancock Park, Hollywood. The biggest reference is usually like where the museums and the entertainment are off of Wilshire Boulevard.
Well, one thing I'll be able to find it for sure when I'll give, because I'm going to probably want to try a couple different things. But Justin, thank you so much for being on Pizza Talk, for doing all this work and preparing some pies for us. Hopefully you'll have some people to sell them to in a little bit, and continued success, and especially as we kind of pivot through this difficult period right now, and everybody's adjusting to how to keep their businesses flourishing at a time when when there's so many trials and tribulations going on, protests and everything else. Just got to hand it to you. Thanks for hanging there, and thank you for for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Peter. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. We'll see you again. We'll be back. And those who are watching, please, when you get in LA, get over there and try some of Apollonia's Pizza. You can write to Justin. You have an Instagram account, right? You've got Apollonia's on Instagram. Are there other ways people can reach you if they want to write to you?
At Apollonia's Pizza is usually the best.
At Apollonia's Pizza. Got it. All right. Well, we'll see you all in the next episode of Pizza Talk. And once again, thank you, Justin. And goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.